Ask any baller. If you know, you know.
The game has changed, but it's still the same. You want it, go get it.
Shazam!
The inbounds pass comes into Jordan. Here's Michael at the foul line. The shot on Elo. Ah, the Bulls win! They win it!
Mike, you're honestly telling me that he's top 5.
Yeah.
Top 5 of all time.
No question about it.
Booker, this is for the win. Got it. Wow.
Yo.
The ruling on the boys made basket.
You know, one thing's for sure. Over at Valley Sports Plug, you're never going to catch us slipping.
With the first overall pick, the Phoenix Suns select.
3, 2, 1, yeah!
Welcome to Pass the Outlet. I'm your co-host, Michael Benjamin, joined as always by my wingman, Chris Patrick. Chris, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, brother. Happy to be back. It's a beautiful day here in Arizona. Wow, serious topic, though, on the table today. Beautiful intro. I love that. Michael Benjamin making the brand new intro for us. Let us know what you think down below. But Mike, how are you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. Just having some fun, putting together some clips, finding a new hobby, I guess you could say. So
There you go.
I'm excited to see what we can do with it. But I'm happy to be here, and welcome to all who are watching and listening. So, of course, here at Pass the Outlet, we look to take a deep dive on everything basketball, from culture, current events, coaching, and of course, our local Valley of the Sun teams. So please make sure to drop a follow on Twitter, Instagram, and now TikTok at AZ_VSP. You can find us on Facebook at Valley Sports Plug. And please do not forget to like, leave a comment, and subscribe to our YouTube page at Valley Sports Plug, where you're watching this right now. Chris, right off the bat, we got some huge news that's been some time in the making with the Robert Sarver investigations with the NBA. And there has been a ruling from the NBA's office, and Phoenix Suns owner Robert Sarver has been suspended for 1 year and fined $10 million by the NBA in result of their investigation. About a 43-page report in regards to everything from conversations with Phoenix Suns employees, previous players, coaches, and whatnot. Lots of things in there, and we're going to dive into them today. But, some of those reports state that there were instances of inequitable conduct towards female employees, inappropriate sex-related and appearance comments, not only to women, but to also to men, as well as racial slur usage of at least 5 reported times. So we've had some late breaking news, and we're going to get into that as well. But Chris, first and foremost, I wanted to see your thoughts on the investigation and the reports, the results, and kind of where you're at right now with the NBA's ruling.
Yeah, Mike, you laid it out there. It's something we've known about for a long time. This goes back to the Baxter Holmes story that came out in November of last year. I think it was leaked in late October. And that report came out very, like you said, that I think, 43 pages. A lot of the claims and allegations in that report were refuted by Robert Sarver and the organizations, but he also took responsibility and owned a lot of those instances as well. So in any case, we've known about this and a lot of this conduct, so we were really just waiting on what the penalty would be. That they were hoping that Adam Silver would be Robert into this type of transaction. Get into that a little bit more later, but my immediate reaction, I like to, for better or worse, sometimes I look at things and kind of try and play devil's advocate and kind of think of it more logically. I know the emotional response to want Robert Sarver to sell the team is natural. I do have that feeling of, I don't want him to be the owner anymore by any means, get him out of here. But the logical side of me understands maybe some legal ramifications, what's in the NBA Constitution that I just learned about existing within the last 24 hours. Collective bargaining agreements and the like. This is business. You're talking now, the NBA is $1 billion business. There's a lot of money at stake here. So I think, obviously the maximum fine is $10 million. We look at a similar situation in 2014 with what happened with Donald Sterling and the Los Angeles Clippers. And at that time, the maximum fine was only $2.5 million. So you're talking Robert Sarver now in 2022 being fined 4 times that amount. So obviously they've made some adjustments over time. And now my thoughts were that this might even result in them raising that amount going forward in the future in any type of new constitution that's written or amendments that come forward. But I think, I'm glad they did the most that they could, that it sounds like they could from what Adam Silver said. Now he's seems like he's made some comments and walked them back. I haven't had a full time since a lot of this news has come out in the last 48 hours or so, where everyone is dropping their opinion or their official statements on the matter in the case of Adam Silver. But I think there's going to be, I don't think the story's done yet. I think more is coming down the pipe. I think that I don't know if Robert Sarver is going to be the owner for too much longer. Like you kind of said, there's a big push from other people in the organization to kind of sell the team. But Mike, what about you? What were your reactions? Did you think that was enough of a punishment?
I mean, you see the $10 million price tag on that, and it kind of puts you in shock. And $10 million to Robert Sarver at the end of the day really isn't a lot, but this is such a tough scenario in regards to some of these reports and the disgusting things that were seen in the workplace with the Phoenix Suns. Obviously, even going back to when he first purchased the team in 2004, when the first report of his usage of the N-word, right when he basically steps foot in the door and has to be reminded, hey, that's not okay. It's not an appropriate thing to say as a white male. And, we have cases of even going back to last year when the investigation was going on of reports of the inappropriate conduct. And it's a really, really bad look, not only for the Phoenix Suns, but I feel like for the NBA. And I know you said we're probably not at the end of this, but Adam Silver came out yesterday and had a press conference, and he seemed a little bit frazzled. It almost seemed like he wasn't ready to answer some of the questions in regards to how come this wasn't a harsher punishment. And some of these things are alongside or a long term with what we saw from Donald Sterling, and they basically forced his hand to sell the team. Why are you dragging your feet now? It does come down to a lot about opinions and how people feel directly towards that. And it can go into what you were saying about, the collective bargaining agreement and the actual, ownership movement that the NBA can really have a part of in forcing the hand of others. But this is a tough one, man. I don't think anybody's going to look good no matter what the true result is, whether Robert Sarver does end up having to sell his shares of the team. The investigation, first and foremost, took so long, and I feel like they were probably holding their feet before they came out. For this to take a year, I know they're probably trying to do their due diligence, but the reports were already there from the first time, and now you do your own separate investigation. I just find it hard to believe that it would really take that long to basically find out the same things that were reported in some instances in that case. But Chris, I don't know how I truly feel about this situation in regards to the penalty and if it's appropriate, because it is still opinion based. And what do you do? Where do you go from there? And I think we're going to find out here shortly from the people who are really in power how they feel, and that can go into what what we saw just a few minutes ago today.
Yeah. I wanted to jump in. You make a lot of really good points about why did this take so long? It's been dragging out for such a long time, and I was trying to give think of what took so long. Robert, like you said, Robert Sarver's been the owner since 2004, and it sounds like he had been checked multiple times. And at first I'm like, is this just an ignorant guy that needs to be checked? But it seemed, if you read the story, it seemed like people tried to check him multiple times, and he just kind of ran the organization in some levels like it seems like a frat house or like he was the boss. He could do whatever he wanted. What I wanted to also highlight and note is that in comparing the situation with Donald Sterling, in that case with Donald Sterling back in 2014, there was an audio recording that was released by TMZ where he was with his mistress saying terrible things about Magic Johnson. You can go look into that story. It's pretty damning. And if you look into Donald Sterling some more, there was a long history of him having lawsuits against him for his other business ventures where he had been a racist and discriminatory. So they had a much better case against Donald Sterling to, potentially take him to court and kick him out of the league, where he did take them to court, but it was ultimately all sided in favor of the NBA. But in this case of Robert Sarver, what the point I'm making is it's all, for lack of a better word, hearsay. It's all he said, she said at the end of the day. And that's what's so tough about it, is because I do believe these people, especially when you have so many stories and they're all different. So it's impossible to not believe them, in my opinion. And you look at these reactions right here. I got to make my screen a little bit bigger so I can read them. Coming in from all around the league, like I was kind of saying earlier, LeBron James. Here we go. So LeBron James at King James said, read through the Sarver stories, if you're honest, our league definitely got this wrong. I don't need it to explain why. Y'all read the stories and decide for yourselves, or y'all read the stories and decide for yourself. I said it before and I'm going to say it again. There is no place for this. There's no place. I'm sorry. Again, there is no place in this league for that kind of behavior. I love this league and I deeply respect our leadership, but this isn't right. There is no particular place for misogyny, sexism, and racism in any workplace, no matter if you own the team or play for the team. We hold the league up as an example of our values, and this ain't it. Chris Paul with a similar sentiment. Like many others, I reviewed the report.
Oh, my bad.
You're good.
Go to John Gambadoro.
But yeah, so I thought Gambo's was interesting. And kind of what I was alluding to earlier, he said, based on some conversations with NBA people around the league, there is speculation that the NBA did not want a legal battle with Robert Sarver. So they put the report out there to allow it to run its course. Sponsors reaction, minority owners reaction, media, fans, etc. Here is what could happen in regards to the Suns ownership. There is very likely language in the partnership agreement that would allow for the removal of the principal owner for cause. If the minority owners determine that Robert Sarver violated his fiduciary duties and acted unethically and immorally, they could look to act on that clause. Holy cow, I need to go back to elementary school and learn how to read out loud around the class. But yeah, like I said, player reaction is that this isn't enough, that they didn't do enough. And I understand that. I really do. But look at what Gambo's saying, kind of his perspective. It makes sense. The public opinion right now, his fiduciary responsibility means that he needs to do what's in the best interest of the shareholders. And in my opinion, even the stakeholders, which is us, the fans, the people that are supportive of this team, to the players, to the employees, all the employees of the team. If he's damaging the brand with his actions, which he clearly is, then he needs to step out. And it's not like, and that's what's so funny about it, is because he stands to make a lot of money off selling his share of the team, his majority share. So he's going to be just fine. This is just his passion project, if you will. This is just what he does for fun. Robert Sarver had money before. He's going to have money again. So that's kind of my opinion on it. I think, I don't think it's done. I think he's going to get forced out. I don't really see any way he isn't. You even saw, what were you saying, Mike? Their Jam Najafi, that news that just came out.
Yeah. So, you bring up some really great points in regards to the NBA not wanting to possibly have a legal battle with Robert Sarver. I think everybody is on the same wavelengths in regards to the inappropriateness of in which he acted. Um, just totally egregious, absolutely uncalled for, should never be in any type of workplace. There was reports about him basically treating employees kind of um, like like an asset, not even like a human being, like I own you. And I don't want that to be involved in my favorite team and my organization top down, right? That's even if I were to hear that at the place that I work and it's coming from like my boss, I'm probably going to try and A, report it, but then B, also start looking for better opportunities so I can
Exactly.
be in a
Yeah.
safer place. That's here nor there. But I'm trying to go back to the point where everybody is on the same page. Everything that Robert Sarver did was disgusting. And I think that the NBA did its best to say that it's unacceptable. Here is here are the repercussions from this, whether it be too small for what people think or kind of just within the norm, but it put it back into the court of the minority owners and the leadership team for the Phoenix Suns to basically take the next steps. And that's what we're starting to see right now. And you talked about, minority owner Jam Najafi. This came out at 6:48, so just a little bit before we started tonight, that the Phoenix Suns vice chairman and minority owner Jam Najafi called for majority owner Robert Sarver's resignation in an open letter to team employees released on Thursday night, saying there should be zero tolerance for lewd, misogynistic, and racist conduct in any workplace. And I 100% agree. So they haven't taken that much time. They let the kind of dust settle from the initial reports coming out, people having their conversations, how they feel about it, if it's good, if it's bad. And now Najafi is starting to take that next step forward to hopefully usher Sarver out the door.
Yeah. And if anyone listening, if that name Jam Najafi sounds familiar, since like we said, this has been going on for a long time, and last season, and even I think a little bit during the playoff run last year, I could be wrong. But what I'm getting at is Jam Najafi brought Colin Kaepernick courtside for a game to make a statement, obviously. And he has a strong interest in becoming the majority owner, if not the complete owner. I can't remember which, but in any case, like Mike said, I 100% agree with everything Mike said. I would not tolerate that in my workplace. If my boss or higher up or the owner of the company I work for said that kind of thing to me, the types of things that they reported, yeah, I'm out of there. It's not happening. Mike, I don't want to. Oh yeah, sure. The Chris Paul tweet, like I said, it's really similar to LeBron James. For those who may be just listening on the audio, like many, I reviewed the report. I was and am horrified and disappointed by what I read. This conduct, especially towards women, is unacceptable and must never be repeated. I am of the view that the sanctions fell short in truly addressing what we can all agree was atrocious behavior. My heart goes out to all of the people that were affected. And so this might lead, Mike, and we can steer away from this if this is out of bounds, but I wanted to ask you about your own personal experience, and maybe since you still have a lot of connections within the organization, without naming names, has anyone, you or yourself, experienced any of this kind of behavior or witnessed it?
So when I started as a ball boy, it was the first year that Robert Sarver joined as part of the team. I think a lot of what I was seeing, I was a kid, I was 14 years old. You hear about some of these instances in regards to, inappropriate conduct as has been reported, but in my time, I didn't see any of that, but I also wasn't there on a day-to-day basis. I was only there on game days, a couple of hours before the game and, an hour or two after the game. And it was really just focused on the basketball on the floor. So I never really had any interaction with Mr. Sarver, nor did I hear any reports from, other employees about his conduct in regards to that. Well, one thing I would say is, and I do want to be careful in regards to how I do say this, but I did have interactions with some of his family members, and they weren't the greatest, but they weren't down the line of these reports in regards to misogyny and racism. It
Right.
never was about that. It was just kind of general character. So when you see that from so long ago, 2004, to what has been reported now, if you ask me, am I surprised about this? The answer is no. It's absolutely no. And I don't want to, I don't know them, right? I don't have a personal connection with them. My time with them was very limited. It was a very short, period in my life. And I was, in high school, worried more about other things. When we were there, it was all about the game. It was all about who was on the floor, what players I got to rebound for, what celebrities we might see on the side. So it was a whole different, experience for me back then. But I mean, that's a good question, right? And I haven't gone to venture out for some of my friends that do work for the organization, who currently do and who have previously worked with them. I haven't gone and asked them if they were, questioned about the situation, or if they've had their own experiences. I think for a lot of us, we were just trying to have this report come out to see what some of the findings were, and then move forward and have those conversations as needed. Because at the end of the day, if you are one of these people who was directly affected by this, having to relive some of that stuff can be painful. And, they just might have had to do it with those investigators. And I don't want to be a person to have to mull up those feelings again for them and have to put them through that. So.
Yeah, that's completely fair, and that's tough because when Baxter Holmes was writing this story as an investigative journalist, he did have to do that, and I'm sure he put up a broad post like, if you have any information, come to me, and probably a lot of people approached him. But it's just thinking about it. I mean, it's strange, right? Because like you said, you never had any experience, but you were not on a day-to-day type of basis. But it's a big company. There's a lot of people that work there, so not everyone's gonna be seeing him all the time. Yeah, it's just something that is going to be something we need to watch, and I'm sure we'll talk about again on this show and the Heat Check podcast as more news develops. I mean, as we were preparing for the show, like Mike said, just 16 minutes before that news about Jam Najafi broke. So I'm interested to see what happens, but I don't think it's the end.
No, unfortunately, this is just kind of the beginning once again. From those initial ESPN reports last year, everything kind of got moved to the wayside as the NBA did their own investigation. So you're basically restarting this whole journey again, which is tough because, for a team that has had so much success the past couple of years, to be, right in the thick of this and this negativity, it affects you, and it affects your brand and everything that is surrounding you. So that's going to be some of the other, big pieces and dominoes that could fall from these reports if Robert Sarver continues to be the owner of this team. Are people going to want to be under contract as far as, branding and having your name on the stadium, or, fitting the bill to make sure that your logos are all around that stadium? If Robert Sarver is still a part of this organization, you're going to see the fallback, and you're going to see brands falling off because they don't want to be, in bed with that kind of a person. So we're just at the beginning. I'm going to be very interested to see some of the other responses from some of the other minority owners, like Larry Fitzgerald, Mr. Fitzgerald. I wonder if he'll come out and make any kind of statements, because I know that he has, a pretty good relationship with Robert Sarver. So we'll have to see. And it's not about picking sides, right? It's about doing the right thing.
Yeah, no, 100%. And like I was saying, they got like doing the right thing for the brand, for the fans, for everyone, for just human decency. But the last thing, I kind of lost my train of thought there a little bit before, but what I wanted to say is, and highlight again, is everyone's perspective was different. Like Mike's was different. Steve Kerr even came out and said he never witnessed anything like that. But you got to believe these reports. You got to believe people, especially when there's so many and detailed and substantial. And he even said and admitted to depantsing a person in front of a group of people, to handing around a picture of his wife in a bikini. And any way he tries to justify it or spin it or explain it away, it still happened. People told him it wasn't okay, and he continued to do these things. So you gotta draw a line at a certain point, and you just can't defend it. So I don't want to beat a dead horse. And like I said, it's not the end. A lot more is to come. But Mike, what do you say we move on to the outlet point guard?
Yeah, let's do it. I didn't mean to interrupt you while you were on a roll by bringing up the clip. I just was trying
I was like, dang, did I mess up?
Preset it. I was just trying to preset it, but it freaking started rolling as soon as I pulled it up. But today we're going to be looking at the one and the only Ja Morant. Ja Morant is one of my favorite young players in the league today. He's explosive. He's crafty with the ball. He's becoming a great shooter. And it's going to flow into some of the other conversations that we have towards the end when we go into Reddit Reacts. But let's get your first raw reaction to this, Chris. I know I didn't prep you today, but I like to see kind of where you're coming from, where you're seeing the action, especially as a guard. So here we go. Let's roll it. This is like kind of a 3-pack. So we got, some action going up against D'Angelo Russell, a little bit of a, cross in between. And then the big one from the first round playoffs against the Timberwolves with this nasty dunk on Malik Beasley. Ja Morant, his bounce is kind of, I haven't seen it in a while, You kind of start to try and think about who have been some of the other players recently, really with his crazy athleticism, and it's starting to transition into the way that he handles the ball as well, which I think is truly awesome and can make you be one of the best players in the league. So how about we do this breakdown one by one?
Yeah, let's go. I like it.
Okay, so this first one, obviously the high set. I feel like with fast, explosive players, first and foremost, I don't want to be stepping out on Ja Morant this far from the basket, especially when I don't have any other help in the middle.
Right, exactly.
All this double action, these double screens coming over here from Jaren Jackson and Desmond Bane to space out that floor. So it's almost like Ja Morant can hit the gas and go straight ahead, but he does a nice little behind the back, sees that D'Angelo Russell is kind of stepping back on his back foot, trying to catch back into a good defensive stance. And then he hits him with a nice crossover right into his shot. And look at all that space he has right off the bat. I mean, that's some of the things as coaches, when you try to work on dribble moves, it's not only, okay, can you cross between the legs, but can you cross and then go behind the back and continue your momentum into the direction that you want to go? Mm-hmm. If you can master that kind of stuff, you're going to be a handful on the court.
Oh yeah. Working that, like maybe backwards from there, for that crossover move, I don't think people can really truly appreciate how much force he's putting into slamming that ball into the ground and then having the control to get it back with his opposite hand. And he put a little finesse on it too there, but go back one more time all the way to the beginning. And I wanted to notice, so it looks like they're set there, but it's a very high set, which is confusing to me why these guys are playing up so high. All 5 offensive players are on the perimeter right now. So right away, Ja Morant is thinking, I'm going to get the defense to collapse on me because I have a wide open lane. Like you said, all that space is in the middle. So he puts on the fucking, excuse me, I don't know if we're trying to swear on this podcast, but he puts on the boosters, right? And because he's going to close that gap. So play it forward just a little bit. So right away, oh shit. Go back just a little. Go back to like right before he does the first move. All right, perfect. So he sees that the defender overcommitted. So right there is when he decides he's going to shoot. So it doesn't even matter that those two are falling into the paint. But Karl Anthony Towns up there is still, I think that's Karl Anthony Towns. He's still falling back even further in the paint. And right now, Jaw's looking right at him and says, "Oh, you aren't helping. I got this 3-pointer wide open." And he just pulls it back and drains it. Not a problem. That ball control. Look at all that space, because he can't recover from that. Once he turns his hips and commits, and then Ja pulls it back, all his momentum is going this way, and it's like the slow motion, like no, and then he's done. And look at how many options Ja has, because he made the defense collapse. He could whip it over there in the corner. He could whip it to his left real quick, but he doesn't have to, because he set himself up beautifully for this three. And it's not even in transition, although it kind of, at first glance, I thought this was a transition play just because of how high the defense was still playing.
Right. And the one thing I do like, he probably had his mind made up that once he couldn't beat D'Angelo off the dribble right here, he's probably going to pull back into his jumper. But he did see that Karl Anthony did step down just a little bit to maybe make it harder if he did want to transition to drive with that right hand. So then he just hits that real quick between the legs step back right into his pocket, which is beautiful, man. It's so underrated to string together dribble moves to give yourself the space to create as a shooter, right? Because you know, there's guys who can go and get a bucket when you need them to, like Ja Morant, like Devin Booker. There's guys who are really successful when they're coming off of action and, you know, coming off of curls, coming off of screens, and not even really putting the ball on the floor like a Klay Thompson. But if you have the whole package and you can do all of it, oh man, dude, you can't be stopped. And I feel like Ja's headed that direction with his athleticism, and especially for how young he still is. The sky's the limit for this guy, man, which is a little bit scary because, you know, the Western Conference is already as tough as it is right now. And to have to be contending with, you know, a team like the Memphis Grizzlies and a young up-and-coming superstar like Ja Morant, it only makes it tougher for the Suns.
Yeah, and say what you will about Ja Morant, but he has confidence. He's not afraid to pull that 3-pointer, to attack the basket and put his crotch in someone's face in the process. He'll do it. And he'll do it well and succeed at it. And it's very impressive. I was going to wait until we get to the third clip, but I almost see a Derrick Rose-esque qualities. And, you know, I think that was like 2008 Derrick Rose, where he was a smaller guard, but he had the springs on his legs so he could get up and slam it home. I ended up being kind of to his detriment and his knees given out. So I hope that's not the same for Ja. I know technology's come a long way. The player care's come a long way. And in any case, I think Ja Morant's going to have a long career. So let's do the second play now.
So this one's, you know, a little bit more of the craftiness around the basket, you know, your Steve Nash style, your Kyrie Irving. He gets real deep here and not many options, right? You know, the paint's packed. You already have 3 guys in here, plus your own offensive guy. This really isn't an option. If you try and do maybe a little shovel pass right there, it's probably going to get poked away and you're looking at a turnover. So you're so deep in here, you're surrounded, almost triple teamed. You don't have a lot of options. It's going to be tough to swing that ball because, you know, the hand of the guy right at the top of the key can get right in there and swat that thing away for a steal. His back is turned to, you know, these other guys. I think that's Trey Jones and Brooks, I think. But, you know, so you got to do what you got to do here and see what kind of space you can create to get a shot up. And he just, that quick spin and that left hand finish, so smooth, so crispy. You know, it's so underrated. I feel like I'm going to keep saying this today. It's so underrated to be able to, because I'm just thinking about it from a coaching perspective as well, right? You have to be able to finish with both hands at the basket, especially when it's so, everything is so quick twitch in regards to your decision making, especially around the basket. If I have a guy on my right shoulder, I'm not going to go up with my right hand. I want to make sure that I'm keeping the ball as far away from the defender as I possibly can.
Yeah.
But that low cross right there gets him right up into his shot. It's just so nice, man.
Yeah, and I don't know if it's just how he handles the ball. I might look it up after this, but it looks like John Morant's got some long arms to where when he does that crossover and the finger roll, he gets so much separation just on that first dribble through the cross, and just is able to scoop it in there. It's amazing because, like you said, when you had that freeze frame there, it was like, oh no, what's it right here? What's he now? Not a whole lot of options, again, he has man open right in the corner, but he's thinking confidently and aggressively and knows that, again, the defender's overcommitting to where he has that fast twitch and that control to shift all his momentum back the other way while the defender's going right by him. So again, you got that slow-mo movie clip, and it's just easy buckets. It's very, like you said, very impressive.
Yeah, I feel like his left hand is super underrated. I don't think it's at the level of Kyrie Irving, but he's getting there. Kyrie Irving, man, his ability to finish high off the glass with his left hand. I mean, we definitely saw it a lot during those playoff pushes with the Cavaliers. Whew, just gives me chills, man, because I kind of remember back in the day when I was a little bit smaller and I was like the primary ball handler, whether it be at pickups or adult leagues or, when I was younger, and I had a string on me. Like I could attack with the best of them. And I'm almost shedding a tear because I can't really do that anymore. I can still dribble the ball, but I'm bigger now. I'm not the size of Ja Morant. I don't have that speed anymore. But yeah, let's get into the real sauciness here. This was probably one of the best finishes from the playoffs this past year. And Game 5, man, Minnesota really, really fumbled the bag in this series. They had some pretty decent leads in a couple of games, and they ended up blowing it, which eventually, they lost the series because of. But this is a play at the end of the third quarter. You're down by 13, and to have this explosive of a play where you basically, for lack of a better term, you put your nuts on a man's face. You're rallying the troops behind you here.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I have all the juice going into the fourth quarter, and I'm pretty sure Memphis ended up winning this game. And it could almost be attested to this exact play right here. I mean, the way that he cocked it back too is just like
impressive. And you see the fan reaction in the background. Gets the whole place pumped up. And Mike, I don't have to tell you this. Basketball is a game of runs, and momentum is king. And if you can get the momentum and make some separation, that can go a long way. And that's how we see these games in the NBA get up to 20, 30-point leads, and then even get beaten back down, is because the point swings can be that crazy due to this momentum. And how did this Game 5 end? I can't jog my memory.
I don't remember the final score, but I'm pretty sure Memphis ended up winning it because they won in 6.
Yeah. Was it a regular season game or was it in the playoffs?
No, this is the first round of the playoffs.
No, I was gonna say when Karl Anthony Towns was like shushing the Grizzlies crowd because they were whooping up early, and then I could be getting some events.
Oh no, I think that was in the playoffs. I think that was one of the earlier games, though.
Let me see.
I think that was the first game that they ended up blowing, if I'm not mistaken. But I could be wrong.
Game 5, the Grizzlies won this game 111 to 109.
Did it go to overtime?
No, it doesn't look like it. It said wild ending.
So they just squeaked it out.
Wait, here I got the box score. Yeah, so after this play, the Grizzlies go on to score 37 points in the fourth quarter to the Timberwolves 24.
Oof.
Yeah. So, that and you can take it back to this bucket, because if they didn't get this bucket, I think it would have gone to overtime potentially,
that's
or
true.
they wouldn't have even had the momentum to get that run. It just goes to show you.
Yeah, if you can get the place rocking going into the fourth quarter, I mean, sometimes that's all you need, especially for good teams.
Oh yeah.
So, well, I wanted to look at Ja Morant because he is part of the next topic of discussion, which we're going to dive into with Reddit Reacts. And it's all around the signature shoe, specifically around 3 different guys. Our Valley guy, Devin Booker, Ja Morant, and Jason Tatum. So right now, I think Nike sees that Devin Booker is a very large asset for the brand. Obviously, he's on the cover of NBA 2K23. He's had success on the court with a top 5 MVP finish. He's dating a Kardashian. There's a lot of great things that are surrounding Devin Booker, and the people like him. So they're using him within the campaign for their second iteration of the GT Cut. So the GT Cut 2 is basically kind of Nike basketball's higher echelon basketball shoe. There's different tiers when it comes to basketball shoes, and specifically you can even go to the players that have signature shoes like Giannis. Giannis has his Greek Freak, which the 4th model is going to be coming out this year, and he also has the Giannis Immortality. So there's like different levels to break down for each player. But this is the higher echelon for Nike's basketball shoe, and they're using Devin Booker on the campaign front right now. What do you think, Chris? Do you like seeing DBook kind of being one of the faces for Nike?
Yeah, I mean, I like it. I'm glad they're putting him front and center. It'd be dumb for them not to, of course. Like you said, he's dating a Kardashian. He's up in the finals. He's in the playoffs. I'm sure he's top 10 jersey seller, if not a top 5 jersey seller. It's got to be. I want to see the signature shoe coming down the line, though, because I mean, it's cool that he's going to be doing this GT Cut 2. He did this player exclusive, or they did this player exclusive that I got behind me. But that was a long time ago. That was when he was a rookie, or I think in his 2nd year, which is crazy to say because he's been that guy for a while now, even before they were in the finals. And so I don't know if it's just the Phoenix market disrespect that we've talked about, or what's really going on, because when we look at the guys, I think you were saying Tatum and Ja Morant, right, that are the comparable, same around the same age, came into the league around the same time. I think even Ja came in significantly later than Booker did, but in any case, I want to see him get the signature, because it's doing these other types of shoes, but where's the exclusive? When's that coming down the line?
I'm glad you asked, Chris. So some of the newer reports that have come out the past couple of weeks as well have been that Jason Tatum and Ja Morant are both going to get a signature shoe, and shortly, basically within this next year. And it's going to be Ja Morant will be with Nike and Jason Tatum will be with Jordan. The one thing when it comes to signature shoes is specifically Nike as a brand, I think they limit the amount of shoes that they're going to put out to the public, or the amount of players that get player exclusives. So right now you got LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, Paul George, Giannis, and who am I missing, Chris? I'm missing a 5th.
Giannis, Kyrie, LeBron, Paul George, and is there a 5th in Nike? That's just Nike.
Kevin Durant.
Oh my goodness.
We've talked about him so much. I had to put him in the back of my mind for a little bit.
I've blocked him out as much as possible in recent days.
So Nike as a brand, they try to stick to about 5 guys. So what the plan, it sounds like, is Ja Morant is probably going to take Paul George's spot, or yeah, probably Paul George's spot, because Kyrie Irving, has been on the ropes with Nike. Obviously, his last signature shoe, the Kyrie Infinities or the Kyrie 8s, there were some not so favorable words from Kyrie himself, basically stating that he wasn't part of the design production, and that relationship has basically soured at this point, where I don't think that he's coming back. So, and Jason Tatum, since he's with Jordan, it doesn't really factor into the Nike decision in regards to who's going to get a signature shoe. And right now, Jordan, I believe, only has two guys who have signature shoes, Russell Westbrook and Zion Williamson. So obviously, with what's been going on with Zion, him not playing, him, is he overweight? Is he going to be okay when he comes back? Whatnot. They wanted to get some extra juice with Jason Tatum and bringing him his own signature shoe. So we're seeing these guys get shoes as early as fall, I believe. Probably more likely 2023, mid-season time frame, we'll see those come out. It's so weird the way that the shoe companies release newer models, because like the KD 15, they came out with them in the summer, like after the season was over for Durant. Like, I don't understand why they don't start like a month and a half before the next season, and that's when you kind of bring out the new models. I understand you want to structure them a little bit so you're not hitting them with 5 different shoes all at once and making people have to pick. The hope is that as a brand, if you love Nike, you're going to go out and get all those signature shoes to try them out from all of those guys. But with that being said, it sounds like Devin Booker is slated to get his own signature shoe, but not this upcoming year. It's going to be for 23-24. But I think that's kind of why they wanted to get him more involved as to be a face, specifically for the GT cuts. It starts to see kind of if the marketing will, get a good foothold with him being the primary guy pushing this brand or this, specific shoe, and see what the numbers look around with it. But I'm pretty sure Nike has already made their decision that he's kind of the next up after Ja Morant, because Kyrie Irving, the Kyrie 9s will probably be the final model in his line. And then it'll be on to DBook. And oh my goodness, is it going to be impossible to get those here in Phoenix?
Yep.
But that's all right. Just check your apps. I'm sure they'll be available shoes online and whatnot. But I guess the bigger conversation I wanted to pass along to you, Chris, is how do you feel about Devin Booker getting his shoe after Ja Morant and Jason Tatum?
It's tough, man. I mean, as much as I want to try and understand it, I can't, because we named all the reasons why Devin Booker has made a case for himself for having marketability and appeal. He is kind of, I think a lot of people love to hate Devin Booker, quite frankly, outside of Phoenix. He's kind of a cocky guy on the court. He's a real quiet guy off the court, which kind of he has that going for him. But I think it's disrespectful. I mean, finally, it's hard to say because Devin Booker is going to be on the cover of NBA 2K23 this upcoming one, but it's been so bastardized, in my opinion, the NBA 2K covers now, because they release 5, 6, 7 editions of them. You got WNBA players, you got legends, you got Booker, you got other throwbacks, whatever. And it's like, it's cool. I like that the WNBA players are in the game now. I think that gives them more visibility. And kids love to play video games. So if young boys and girls who are playing, or if anyone is playing, wants to, it might, spark an interest in the WNBA. And in any case, I don't think that, what I'm trying to say is a signature shoe is obviously way bigger than a 2K cover now, because of the way it's kind of been, for lack of a better word, bastardized. I'll stop saying it now, but like, it just doesn't mean as much to me, in my opinion. With the signature shoe and just speaking on Josh specifically, like you said, he's another young, exciting player, and he does kind of stir the pot off the court a little bit. He has a father who's a big personality, looks exactly like Usher Raymond. It's hilarious. People love to write articles about it. It's all good fun. So, outside of dating a Kardashian and going out, getting spotted with the paparazzi, they aren't doing anything controversial. They aren't doing anything crazy that's noteworthy, so that's why you don't really even hear about it. I think they were broken up for a few weeks. That was it was around the finals time, so that was fun to talk about. But then, are they back together for sure? Who even knows? Who even cares? But
they officially are back together.
Good.
She was with him at the NBA 2K23 like release party thing that they had, and of course she was in the videos and all that fun stuff. So
yeah, solid. But I also just wanted to say, on the prospect of a Devin Booker signature shoe, of course I'm going to get it. Of course I'm going to try and do everything I can to get it. But I'm nervous, Mike, because I like to play with a little bit more ankle support in my shoes, the higher ankle. And Booker likes the lows from what I've seen.
I was about to say, man, like it could be the lowest cut of the lowest basketball cut you've ever seen in your life. There ain't a damn thing you're going to do to stop me from buying that shoe. Am I going to play in it? I don't know. Maybe it'll be something that I put on the mantle back here and have it on the live streams every once in a while. Or I can just wrap my ankles, put on my braces, and pray for it. Hope for the best.
Yeah.
That's kind of been some of the issues I've been having with the KD 15. They're way lower cut than the 14s. I never tried the 14s, but it's just not a shoe that's really built for a bigger guy like myself, which is crazy to think because KD's like almost 7 foot tall, but his body build is completely different. So I get it from that aspect. The one thing when it comes to this conversation in regards to these two guys specifically getting a shoe deal before Devin Booker, I think it goes exactly into some of the sentiments that you've already said. Ja Morant is the new guy in the league. He's the fresh blood. He's for the kids. He's all about that action, boss. Like his mantra and his personality fits for the younger generation who are going to go out and tell their mom and dad for Christmas, hey, I need the new pair of Ja Morants for Christmas, right? That's where you're going to get a lot of those sales for those younger kids. The same way that we were seeing it with LaMelo Ball and his Pumas this past year. Jason Tatum, he's another guy. His personality isn't crazy, like over the top or anything like that, but he's a really marketable guy. He plays in one of the biggest NBA markets in Boston. He's a family man, people love his son Deuce. He's just the cutest thing on and off the floor. You could see him in videos here and there. And just, he's a guy that you can push and people will back behind him because he's a good overall guy. And then there's guys like Devin Booker who have proven to be one of the best players in the NBA, but are in a tougher market with Phoenix. We're such a transplant city where it's hard for people to really gravitate towards just him because a lot of people here already have allegiances to other cities and towns and other teams, There's not many of us. There's not many of, those homegrown people who will really ride or die for the Suns. His personality is, I wouldn't say it's drone, but it's not like, I'm not like ever super excited to hear what Devin Booker's like saying that often. Are you? Like,
his voice kind of scares me, to be honest. It's so deep. Like,
I gotta go and watch one of his streams. I don't know how often he does it, but I got to check out one of his COD streams. I wonder what kind of interaction he's having with the chat and whatnot.
Yeah,
but I think for him and for the Phoenix market, the push is really going to have to be around your level of success on the floor, unless your personality is just out and about and wild. You know what I mean? Like, you really got to win here in order to be pushed out to further markets, especially if it comes down to signature shoe, because at the end of the day, everybody wants their favorite guy from their favorite team to have a shoe. Of course, like if I was in New Orleans, I'd want Brandon Ingram to have a shoe. I'd buy the hell out of that shoe. But it also is about marketability and being able to sell it.
Yeah.
And sell it for a long time. So
And I wanna add to that and highlight kind of what you were talking about earlier when you brought up Jason Tatum and his son Deuce. It just goes another layer of the marketability. He's a family man, it's great, him and his son. And even similar, if you didn't know, with John Morant, he has a young daughter, and again, family man on top of all the other things. And I was gonna say, I hate to be this guy. I don't fully believe in it, but I know there's some truth to it to some extent. That Devin Booker seems to be more of like a millennial type, leaning that type of generational type person, versus John Morant might be more of a Gen Z, like you said, appealing to the kids. Devin Booker is doing the live streams, but other than that, he's not tweeting. He's not really having much of a social media presence. Whereas clear, like Ja definitely is, but it is fun. I do enjoy seeing Ja Morant, not only his off the court stuff, not as much as the highlights on TikTok and Twitter of him slamming the ball in or doing some crazy crossover, putting someone in a blender. So there's levels to it. I get the business, the marketing angle, but I'm glad to see Booker's getting his. Last thing I just wanted to kind of, while we were talking here, I wanted to just maybe pose the question to wonder what you were thinking, because I don't know how much of an appetite there is for Zion Williamson anymore with the way he's been injured. Yeah, he's an electric player. He's been someone that a lot of the basketball community has been following and tracking since I think even his middle school, definitely his high school days. But what would you think the appetite is for the marketability or profitability of a Zion Williamson signature shoe or anything like that?
Well, so I know they just came out with the second model, the Zion 2. I've been hearing some good things as far as feel, comfortability, structure, and really holding your foot within it. Am I going to go out and get it? Absolutely not. I just I have to be picky with what I want to try out. That's probably a shoe that might be made a little bit better for me. But I did try the Zion 1, and I didn't really like the structure of it as far as to play in. When I do my youth sports reffing on the weekends, I did wear it quite often because it was comfortable, but it wasn't going to be a shoe that I would wear when we do runs, because I was just a little bit too worried as far as traction and really holding my foot within it. It seemed a little bit cheaper of a model, to be honest with you. I think a big thing in regards to Jordan Brand is, there's always going to be the love for the retros, the 1 through 14s. People are always going to be buying those. There's not a lot of people who really wear them to play in, unless you're like an older head. Like, Schmitty's always out there in the 5s. Like his old pair of 5s, he's out in there all the time.
That's great.
But for the most part, the newer generations, when people get those, it's really just kind of for show and to wear off on the side. Like, I have this pair of Cardinal 3s right here. I've never played basketball in them. I'm never going to play in them too, because that's a model that was from 1986. Like, the tech within the new shoes now, I want that. I don't want 1986. You know what I mean?
Right.
And going back to your question, the hype behind Zion, unfortunately, really has died off a lot recently because of his inability to be on the floor. I mean, he's exciting when he's on the floor. He's such a big body. He's so explosive, different explosiveness than the way that we talk about Ja Morant, but he's just a scary dude on the floor when he's healthy. But when he's not, I don't give a crap about what he's bringing out towards the table in regards to Jordan Brand. And I think that's kind of why they're starting to transition, a newer, fresher face in Jason Tatum into the fold, especially with Russell Westbrook as the only other Jordan Brand athlete as far as signature shoes. Russell Westbrook, whether you like it or not, has gotten a lot of flack the past couple of years in his play. And you know, you can't be great forever. And you have to say that Russell Westbrook was one of the best players in NBA history. Where you put him, is he top 75? I don't know. But he's one of those guys who changed the game and was a great player for a very long period of time. Is he that now? Absolutely not. I mean, you can't be throwing up that many bricks off of the glass off the side, man. Like, that just doesn't happen.
They literally called him Westbrick.
That does not happen, Chris. Like,
No.
I'm telling you, you can't be a professional and that happen very often. Like, everybody shoots a brick every once in a while. Everybody has an air ball once in a while because they're trying to do too much. But I can't have a full 15-minute tape from one season of those shots. You know? So Russell is on the back end of his career, no fault to his own, but they need to get some more blood in there. I give it another year and a half. If Zion comes back and starts to dominate again, and New Orleans really puts together a nice playoff push this next season, I don't think Jordan Brand will have anything to worry about for the next couple of years because they'll get that juice back behind his name. But if he can't stay healthy and he plays 25 games and is out for extended a period of time again, you know, I'd see within the next 3 years, they'll probably pull his contract and they'll have somebody else coming into the fold. That's just how it goes. So,
yeah. And wow, that's great points. I didn't even really think about there in the moment that Russell Westbrook has been on a major decline and is likely nearing the end of his career, or at least his superstar portion of his career. I mean, it's maybe similar to how Derrick Rose went from, like I said, being an MVP candidate to then now being a role player. Granted, he's found his place as a really good role player in what he does, and he'll still have nights where he pours in points, but it's not the same way. It's not slamming on people, doing step backs as much. I think he actually is. I don't know what I'm saying, but in any case, those two guys, yeah, it's going to really be on Zion to be healthy and show that he can be out there. Because like I said, when he is out there, he's electric and really fun to watch. And with really everything we covered, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Robert Sarver potentially selling the team, with Devin Booker getting his signature shoe, with what Nike and Jordan Brand are going to do. And, you know, I'm curious. So that's all I got, Mike. It's been fun tonight, bro.
Yeah, man, we're going to see. This Sarver saga is not over. It's going to be a crazy next couple of weeks, you know, especially as we get towards the season starting, dude. We're like a month away. I think October 19th. I can't believe it. Football just started, and I already got to worry about this. This is crazy, man. But with that being said, thank you to everybody who watched and listened with us. This is Past the Outlet, episode 3. I'm your co-host, Michael Benjamin, as always, with my wingman, Chris Patrick. We appreciate all you guys so very much. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at AZ_VSP. Check us out, Facebook, Valley Sports Plug. Please like, comment, and subscribe to our YouTube page at Valley Sports Plug. Chris, thanks again, man.
Yes, sir. We'll catch you next time.
Peace.
Ball is life, plain and simple. You know, ask any baller. If you know, you know.
The game has changed, but it's still the same. You want it, go get it.
Shazam!
The inbounds pass comes into Jordan. Here's Michael at the foul line. The shot on Elo. Ah! The Bulls win! They win it!
Mike, you're honestly telling me that he's top 5.
Yeah.
Top 5 of all time.
No question about it.
Booker, this is for the win. Got it. Wow.
The ruling on the floor is made basket.
You know, one thing's for sure. Over at Valley Sports Plug, you're never going to catch us slipping.
With the first overall pick, the Phoenix Suns select
3, 2,